charges are behind us, to my right and to my left. The charges, the worst charges that you see behind you, behind us, are the murder, the second-degree murder charge, and the cruelty to children. And if you wonder why the charge was second-degree murder, it's because it is a murder that was done in commission of another felony, which is the cruelty to children charge. To the best of our knowledge, this is the first time in history, in a case like this, that murder charges have been brought against the coaches who were negligent, and that negligence resulted in the death of a student athlete. So this is very big. We commend the Clayton County District Attorney's Office for bringing these charges, for having, the wherewithal to bring these charges, because a lot of DA's offices are not bringing charges like this. So this is very, very important, and this is a landmark day in this kind of case. I just want everybody to understand that this entire thing happened because a lot of metaphorical balls were dropped. Right? Common sense is not common, and you see that with this case and with others like it. Common sense is just not common. You have coaches who want to win more than take care of these children. And we, all of us who have children, a lot of you have children, we entrust these people with our children's lives every single day. We go to work, we drop them off, and they are there with these people sometimes more than they're at home with us. So common sense, not being common, can literally kill your child, and that's what happened to Imani Bell. The incident in question did not have to happen. The athletic director knew these children were outside exercising in the heat and allowed it to happen. The coach put these children outside, and the coach was outside with them, so she knew how hot it was, and she allowed it to happen. There are several Georgia High School Sports Association rules that were not followed, and these children were allowed to be outside, and basically, Imani was tortured to death for basketball. Imani was an exemplary student. She was taking classes at Clayton State. This would have been her first year of college. And because she was such a great student, she would have been a sophomore when she should have been a freshman. She was a great basketball player. By all accounts, a great friend, a great child, a great daughter, a great sister. The world really lost a great person. And it's really sad to see because it didn't have to happen. On the day in question, there was an assistant coach there. And you see his name, Dwight Palmer. The reason he's charged is because he was there. He saw the kids outside. He saw Imani struggling. He knew it was too hot, and he did nothing. And this resulted, unfortunately, in her death. There was no ice bath outside as mandated by GSA rules to make sure that if something like this happened, Imani could recover and maybe have a chance at life. There was no trainer there to make sure that everything was going fine. This was a rogue coach that didn't follow the rules. This was an AD who didn't go and make sure that the coach was following the rules. This was a county who didn't make sure that at that school, the people hired who had these kids outside, that didn't make sure that these people knew what they were supposed to do. If you look at the answer to our complaint in the civil case, you'll see that Mrs. Askiri, however you pronounce her name, I apologize, she said that this was her first day on the job. And this is one of the reasons why she let Imani outside and let the other students outside to run in that type of heat. Well, it was also Imani's first day. And Imani was listening to the authority figure like her father taught her. And this is what happened. Her first day on the job. And you didn't know that having kids outside in 110-degree heat could be something detrimental to their health. Common sense is not common. So we're here today to commend the district attorney for the charges that they brought down. We're here today with the family of Imani to let you know and the rest of the family know that we're not going anywhere. We're going to push this thing through, and we're going to make sure that this doesn't happen to any other children in this state, in any other state, and around the country, because this happens all the time. So with that being said, I'm going to let Imani's father, Eric, say a few words about how the family's feeling, and then Chris will speak to you about the indictments as well.
Good evening. How's everybody? First of all, I want to thank Clayton County and the DA Tasha Mosley for bringing forth charges. This is an unprecedented case, so we want to definitely thank them for all their efforts in this case, and thank you, Ms. Mosley. Also, today is a bittersweet day for the family. My wife's birthday was a couple of days ago. Imani's death day is August 13th, and you know, it's just a time of grieving. The family is still grieving. Family is still grieving. So we just want to, you know, just thank the lawyers involved, Clay County involved, and just thank the love and support from all around the nation that we've been getting. It's refreshing, but at the same time, we want to continue to fight for justice, and we just want to say thank you to everybody involved.
Attorney Chris Stewart, something huge came out yesterday. Coach Askeri's lawyers put out a statement that says that Ms. Askeri faults the athletic director and elite scholar academy personnel. So clearly this case is bigger than just the two coaches, which is why we filed the civil suit. We are trying to hold the entire school accountable. Clearly she is aware of information of the school not passing on information about the heat or whatever it is, the proper procedures, policies, because she has put out a statement blaming not just her, but the school system, which is the failure that we are going to stop with the civil case, which we foresee fighting because they've lawyered up also, and now this family is going to be dragged on for years fighting the civil case, which is sad in itself. This case is history making, and it is bigger than just this situation. Imani Bell's name will now stand for change in sports across this country. Coaches will have to think twice about the levels they're willing to push athletes to win. So her name will forever be remembered for change, which is huge, which is what her future was going to be about. So we look forward to Clayton County accepting responsibility in this case regarding the civil matter. We thank the DA for stepping up and holding people accountable. That's all you want your DA to do, and we don't see it often. And now we're looking for the county and the school district to step forward and resolve the civil suit. That's all we have for now. A few questions.
How big will intent fall, under these lawsuits in terms of criminal and, civil intent? How will that play a role in the prosecution of these cases?
Well, for the civil case, it's not really going to boil down to intent. It's going to be they simply didn't follow the rules and the policies and procedures that are literally written. You can look them up online, and these people clearly didn't follow them, clearly didn't know them. And as Justin said, saying you've been there one day is not an excuse to follow the rules. You can't make up an excuse if you're drunk driving and you kill somebody. You're held accountable. That's what's happening here. They're just being held accountable for what they did.
She said it's her first day on the job.
That's what she said in her answer, among other responses to the complaint.
Fair question for you. We've been able to confirm that a year after Imani died, the head basketball coach went to another district, began teaching there in a full-time role. She was there teaching and starting this new school year as well until we inquired about these charges yesterday, and she's now been terminated. Do you have any reaction that Imani dies and 2 years later she was still overseeing kids as a teacher in a classroom in another district?
It's just the tragedy that happened with Imani shouldn't have happened, and we're just glad that the coach is being held accountable.
As far as these charges for Chris or Justin, can you just speak to the difficulty that a prosecutor might face here? We saw a 2009 case, a football coach was charged with homicide, but he was acquitted. There was possibly contributing factors to that death. I know you said Imani had no underlying conditions, but it is history making, as you mentioned. What obstacles does that make for a prosecutor?
Yeah, so it's going to be a hard road. I mean, any case like this is, but this case, there are no contributing factors. If you've seen the coroner's report, you know Imani was in perfect health. She was killed by being out there and training in that heat. What you also have to understand too, and this is just something to add to what you were saying, but this was August. The basketball season is starting to what, October? November, something like that. So you didn't have to have them out there. This was a completely something that should not and could not have happened. And they did it anyway. So it's going to be a hard road ahead, but I feel like this DA's office is ready for the task.
Justin, and I asked you this yesterday, but there's more context. I mean, you just mentioned the role of the athletic director, knowing what was going on. Do you think that that person should have been charged as well?
Well, we'd like to stay out of who's charged. We leave that to the district attorney's office, but there's definitely some culpability with that person. If they knew, which we believe that he did, that those kids were out there. This athletic director was the coach of a boys basketball team at the same school. So you didn't have your team out there, and it's our understanding that you knew that the girls' team was going to be out there. So if that's the situation, then you let them go outside in that heat, and you put them at risk. So we can't say who should or should not be charged, but there's definitely something there.
Mr. Bell, you're a coach. I think I saw a statement that you said you didn't have your kids out there that day.
No, sir, our practice was canceled
Why?
because of the heat index, and we did the wet bulb test at the school, and the principal made an announcement to cancel all practices.
And so given that, when you hear that your daughter was out in that extreme heat, what went through your mind? Because you had went through it and the kids were pulled out from outside, but what goes through your mind?
Just unbelievable, just unbelievable. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I couldn't grasp it at the idea that someone would have their child or the team out in this extreme heat.
And what went through your mind when you heard of the indictments? Second-degree murder.
I can use the terms bittersweet. We were also happy that the DA brought forth the charges and held the coaches accountable.
Eric, now that you do have this indictment, what does it change anything for Friday? I know that's it's an anniversary that you need to remember, but it's a hard day. It's a little bit easier this year on that anniversary or not? Or?
It doesn't get any easier, not at all. We're just happy that, like we said before, the DA brought the charges forth and everybody's being held accountable, and we just want to continue to move forward so we can bring some closure to it.
Chris or Justin, I mean, I know the school district has been tight-lipped kind of since the start of this. Have you guys heard anything lately in regards to the lawsuit or even these charges?
We've heard from their lawyers who are fighting the case and going to continue defending it. And now I think the indictment is going to make that a little more difficult because Clayton County is taking responsibility by holding people accountable, but yet they're going to fight the family on the civil case. And what it boils down to is, what is the value of a little black girl? We think it's massive. We think that that life can't be replicated and that her potential is limitless. They may disagree, and that's what court is for.
What has been their defense? What has been their defense?
That's unclear at the moment. But as you can see, we have a coach right here, her father, who knows the rules and regulations, the procedures, the Georgia high school standards, and didn't violate them. Clearly, they did, and the athletic director allowed it to happen, which makes the school culpable, which makes the district culpable. So we'll seek justice, and if they need to see us in trial, then we'll see them in trial. Thank you.
Can you turn that back on?
Oh, it's
Hey, y'all lights.